problem. I'm a bit excited.
Oof. Hopefully it will do well. Okay, I started the stream. Now let me change the title. Save. And then link it, and then we'll start. The missing link.
No problem.
Okay, guess we can start.
All
Hello
right.
everyone. This is again 5 IR-YokiSayukri, the manager of the league, and I'm here with YokiSayukri, I'm sorry.
The leader of Invictus Relic. Hi.
We'll do an interview with Yoki first, then next one will be with Lenny. The question will be about the same, like very minor differences. So let's start with the questions now. The same with 5. So after 7 hard weeks, you're only 1 week away from glory. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think I'm pretty confident to stay in the top 4, and I want to make the best out of it. I mean, I've practiced a lot recently, so I also do have a good feeling if it doesn't come up to item RNG or to my own exhausting. And all in all, I'm pretty excited for the next match, and I'm happy to be here.
Okay, now the difference between you and Lenny and 5 is 5 points. Now that is actually a lot of points considering you can only get 20. Do you think that with that huge difference you will lose that number 1 place?
It's hard to tell. I don't think that I couldn't reach the number 1 spot on the list. Lenny says this is a battle between 5 and me, but honestly, I don't care. I tell you that everything can happen, and that I also do have the chance to reach the number 1 spot in the league. But I won't be sad if I don't reach it, because I'm still happy to be here. That's all.
Nice. Now, you actually joined the league at the second week, not at the first week, which made you lose 16 points because you got the minimum number of 4. Now, had you joined for the first week, do you think you would be now at the top?
I honestly don't know. I think the main factor is not that I joined later to the league. It was like my first match against Commodore Swings that kind of threw me back then. If I would have played with my full potential on that day, I might be on the number 1 spot because I would have the points for it. But even if I would have started in week 1, it could also be like I'd be 1 more week in the top 4 on the list, and I would have clutched against 5 when like they do for, I think, for 3 weeks. So yeah, it wouldn't make any difference, I think.
Now, for week 8 maps, so that's Papus, Dragons, Thunderstruck, and Oxide Station. I already spoke with 5 about it, but what are your thoughts on the maps? Do you think they go in your favor?
Well, everyone knows that I suck at Thunderstruck, and I'll definitely still struggle on it. Especially against Lenny, because he's like a little god on that track. But if it comes to the other tracks, like Oxide Station, I think I'm pretty good at it. Dragon Mines, I practice it a lot, and I think it's also a map that I can play pretty decent, if not good. And Papus Pyramid, yeah, after my speedrun struggling for like 2 months, I think I can play that track. Yeah.
Now, you have been playing for pretty much the past 7 weeks or 6, considering you joined on the second. So what has been your strength to be in third place now?
It was kind of simply my spirit that always said never give up, because I love to play competitive, I love CTR, and I love this community. And these are factors that are giving me the strength for CTR overall. I mean, I don't want to get in too much detail, but I had a big conversation with Gamma one day, and he told me to be confident. And this is something that I still keep in mind when playing this game. And yeah, also the factor that I say I won't give up. This is like the strength I have for playing this game and playing this league.
Very nice answer. Now, when I look at your point tally weekly, we can see it hasn't been that consistent. So obviously, week 1 we can ignore. For the second week, you actually got the maximum points. Week 3, you got pretty good amount of points, 15 out of 20. Week 4, pretty much the same, 20 out of 25. But then week 5, you've dropped to 10 out of 20. Week 6, you've done amazingly well, 17 out of 20. But the last week, you did again 10 out of 20. Now, what does that tell you about coming with the week 8? Do you think it's going to get up, or do you think it's going to get down?
I can't give you a clear answer to that. I mean, 5 and Lenny are hard opponents, and I think all 3 of us will give the best to reach the top spot, and all 3 of us could kind of say, I'll gain below 10 points, or I get more than 15 points. I don't know much about Barracuda, but I know that he already played against 5, and 5 struggled against him. So I think the fact of not being consistent in the league lies within my past weeks, and I had a very hard time, full of stress, emotions, and so on. I don't want to get in too much detail, but I think this is the main reason why my league experience was kind of inconsistent in the time.
Yeah, sorry to hear that. That's not really fun to hear. Now, regarding, we know that the difference is 5 points. How much do you think you will need to get in the final week to actually win, to be at the top?
Well, give me a moment. Have you skipped the question because I don't got an answer for that? What? Well, I can't tell how many points I would get or I would need. So it just kind of stays like, let's look how it goes against Lenny and 5, because we are all 3 pretty decent, maybe on the same level, and it's hard for all 3 of us. As said, I don't know much about Barracuda, but let's see.
Yeah, well, he was actually at the top and I did play him, but yeah, well, that's not really there. Now, so how do you usually handle like the pressure, the stress when you play in the final moment? So for week 8, how do you feel like any pressure or stress?
On days like these, my head is full of concentration mode. I don't feel any big pressure anymore. I mean, sure, I want to win, but that's what we all want, and I'm also okay with losing. So I've learned that losing also means gaining experience, and yeah, I let's say that I'm happy if I win, but I won't be sad if I lose.
Now, we all made mistakes during the leagues. Do you think there in the league when you made a mistake that had you not made a mistake you would be higher, you would be currently higher?
When I played my first match against Commodore Swings, I definitely underestimated him, and I had a really bad day playing the game. I did minor mistakes that have cost me important seconds on every racetrack, so this threw me back in this week. And I think if I wouldn't have underestimated Commodore Swings, I definitely would be higher on the list.
Now that so I'm probably expecting the same answer, but what do you say was the most difficult week in the league so far? So that can be the maps that week, it can be the competitors, or pretty much. What was the most difficult week?
If it comes to difficulty, I definitely say the recent roster is the most dangerous one. I mean, Lenny, 5, and Swings were monsters against me. I must confess that I also had a bit of fear when playing against Mini Waifu, Revelo, and Mihail Cage. But I don't know how. I managed to reach first place 3 times. So the hardest week was definitely my last week.
Okay, nice. Now, out of the current 3 competitors that you will play in the match, who do you think poses the biggest threat?
I kind of don't want to say it, but okay. For me, it's definitely Lenny, because when I started writing with him about the 1v1 League, we both started in Invictus Relic Dragon Rivalry. And we're both the leaders of Invictus Relic. He's the one I have the best chemistry with, And now imagine your best friend turns into your worst opponent. He's like, he knows me pretty well, and he knows how to play against me. I also do know how to play a bit against him, but this is like the most dangerous part. He knows me, and he might be my worst opponent.
Now, this is now regarding your way of playing. Like, do you use any in-game environment, like looking behind you, looking at a map to help you focus in game?
Well, I think as every competitive CTR player, I do use that camera that is more in the back of your card. Then
Okay.
I do look at the map because of orbs. This is pretty important to know if there are any orbs. And yeah, I think everything else is just driving and reaction.
Now, what is one thing you do after a good performance? For example, let's say if for week 8 you actually won the first map. So what will you do after that? Will you celebrate? Will you keep your cool or?
I'm pretty happy if I win a map, especially against hard opponents, and I'm showing this emotion pretty much. I'm getting a big motivation kick after it, and I want to start the next races as fast as possible. Because when I'm happy, I do play like on my best concentration mode.
Oh,
So
okay.
this is the best treat for me.
Oh, nice, actually, very good. Now, for before the race, what do you do to get into your best focus state? Do you like practice the maps that will be played? Do you like do nothing and just relax, or?
There's quite a lot I do to get full concentration mode. Like important things for me to get myself to the best state of focus are, for example, 9 hours of sleep before waking up into the day, eating and drinking healthy, then avoiding stress, avoiding things like fast food, Coca-Cola, and so on. And I try to keep a clear mind. This is what kind of helps me outside of the game, but being good at the game, being full focused. And it's even better if I practice the maps before, when I don't have any long school days or stressful days before.
Okay, now, so this is pretty much the question that I asked you 2 questions before. Now, what do you think about attitude in a big factor winning? So, like, let's say you lose a map, but it was because of RNG or I don't know, you had bad luck. Do you rage about it, or do just keep your cool?
Um, I think this is a thing that Five and Lenny both taught me once again when I played this game. The thing is, if you're sad, mad, toxic, whatever it is, you're not at full focus and you're full of adrenaline. So your gameplay will change in a bad way until you're fully calmed down again. If you're just neutral, or you can be concentrated, but you might not be full focused in a game. For me, it is really like if I'm happy, I do play at my best state. So being toxic definitely does not help you. Being happy instead is much better. This is my opinion on that.
Yeah, that is true, but like Five said, that is actually sometimes easier said than done because keeping cool while you're getting, I know, bombarded or hit constantly and then you can't just recover, it gets frustrating. So, keeping your cool is definitely a way to win, but doing that is pretty hard.
It's very important to keep that in mind, that you just stay cool up even after getting hit by items. I mean, looking at the last week I had, it was pure item RNG, but it was cool. I was like, okay, I have a nice competition here, so let's take it.
Now, for the final question, how important is that the first place to you in the league going into playoffs?
Personally, for me, it's not important at all. I only mind about going into playoffs with a good taste of playstyle done by myself. And I also really want to stay in the top 4. That's like a big wish for me. I want to play against Five and Lenny one more time. especially against Lenny because the rivalry, you know. I mean, sure, it would be kind of cool if I would get at the first spot on the league, but it's not as important for me as maybe for the others.
Now, for me, the playoffs, of course, the higher you are, the more advantage you have, especially for number of seeded. You'll always have an advantage over picks because you have more of them than the other competitors. So that's pretty much it. Thank you, Yoki, for your time.
No problem.
I think we are pretty much done. So have a good night, everyone.